Let's talk about wireless audio. Now, I know this might not sound like the most thrilling topic ever, but I'll do my best to keep things entertaining, at least as entertaining as talking about this stuff can get. There are a lot of videos out there about wireless audio, but none that really break it down in a way that won't make your brain melt. So, welcome to Wireless Audio Simplified, where I'm going to try to make this stuff make sense to you.
Damn it, this is too hard! Here's what I think of your test, Mr. Teacher!
We're gonna focus mainly on film and TV, but this applies to live sound, music, and any situation where you're sick of tripping over cables like you're in a slapstick comedy. Wireless audio systems have two key components, the transmitter and the receiver. Basically, all they do is send a signal from point A to point B. The transmitter is where you plug your microphone, usually a lavalier mic that you place on or under your clothes, or it could be a guitar, playback machine, comms, or pretty much anything that makes a sound. The receiver is on the other end waiting to catch that signal and send it to your recorder, mixer, or camera. There are two types of wireless systems, analog and digital. Analog systems need to compress the audio before sending it over radio waves in a process called companding. The quality of a compander will affect the quality of audio being transmitted. Digital systems skip that step and generally sound better, though there are exceptions. But I'm not here to dive into the endless digital versus analog argument. I'm just here to help you get your audio up and running without pulling your hair out. So pick whatever works best for your use case and budget.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
In order to operate a wireless system, you need to understand several important concepts. The first one being frequency. And no, I'm not talking about how often you should check your email. Most wireless systems operate in a VHF and UHF spectrum from 169 Hz to 698 Hz. And here's a fun fact. If you are in the United States, anything in the 614 to 698 Hz range is illegal to use since 2020. Thanks, T-Mobile. I should mention that there is a duplex gap in that frequency zone, 653 to 657 MHz for licensed use and 657 to 663 MHz for unlicensed use. But let's leave that alone for now.
Forget about it.
The main thing to remember is that your transmitter and your receiver have to be on the same frequency. If your transmitter is tuned to 470/125, your receiver needs to be tuned to 470/125, or they're not going to be talking to each other. Next, let's talk about frequency blocks, which are different from my writing blocks every time I try to come up with a video idea or to record this video for that matter. Back in the day, wireless systems could only operate on a limited range of frequencies. For example, these electrosonic transmitter had specific blocks, like this one is block 19, there are also block 20, 21, and so on. Block 19, for example, could accommodate frequencies from 486/400 to 511/900. You could adjust the frequencies in 100 kHz increments, which theoretically gives you a total of 256 tunable channels that you can use per block. However, there is a catch. You can only use the transmitter and receiver that are in the same frequency block. If you mixed up your transmitter and receiver between blocks, guess what? No dice and frustration guaranteed. In today's environment, the wireless spectrum is getting more and more congested, which requires wider tuning ability to combat these problems. Thankfully, technology has evolved and now we've got broadband and ultra-wideband systems. Think of it like going from listening to a CD with a limited amount of tracks to listening to Spotify. More frequencies equals more options. Band A, for example, has a tuning range of 470/100 to 537/575. Band B has a tuning range of 537/600 to 614/375. Band C, which is illegal to use in the United States, has a tuning range of 614/400 to 691/175 MHz. The advantage of that system was the expanded tuning range between transmitters and receivers. Ultra-wideband systems are capable of an even wider tuning range. So Sound Devices Spectra Band, for example, has a tuning range of 169 Hz to 1525 MHz. Here are all the frequencies that they support as stated on their website. What that allows you to do is choose any of those frequencies to connect your receiver and transmitter. So, why do you need a wider tuning range? One word: interference. This is the villain in our wireless audio story. Interference can come from anywhere. Other wireless systems, cell towers, TV stations, electronic devices like cell phones or microwaves, because apparently your microwave has an opinion on your sound setup, or even physical obstacles like walls and human bodies. Yes, that's right, even people can block your signal, so if your sound cuts out, don't automatically blame your gear. Maybe your talent is just sitting on the transmitter, and please don't ask me how I know that. Even misplaced antennas can cause interference of your wireless signal. Oh, and let's not forget weak batteries. Nothing says I'm a pro like a transmitter dying in the middle of a shoot. Always carry spares or be prepared for some awkward silence and director yelling at you for screwing up the take. But in all seriousness, even dying batteries can cause your signal to start dropping. There are many other sources that can cause interference, but these are some of the most common ones. Now that we have established the concept of frequencies and interference, let's talk about another important concept known as frequency scanning. Frequency scanning is the first step that you must do in order to see which frequencies in a given geographic location are available to you. So as a good rule of thumb, scan before a shoot if possible. Go out and do a location scout so that you're not left scrambling on the big day, because no one wants to wait on audio when the cameras are rolling. This is where you start to see a big difference between consumer, prosumer, and professional devices. Consumer wireless such as Rode Wireless Go, DJI Mic, Saramonic, etc. don't have any scanning functionality whatsoever. They operate on a fixed frequency of 2.4 GHz and are designed to be easy to use. Prosumer systems such as Sennheiser G4 and Sony UWP-D21 have a basic scanning functionality and ability to choose frequencies, but they do not show you the full picture of wireless spectrum in your area. Professional systems from Lectrosonics, Shure, Wizicom, and Sound Devices all have an actual visual representation of the wireless landscape, which allows you to see which frequencies are busy and which ones are open, which allows for better tuning. Sound Devices Nexus and Shure Accent also have an entire app which can be used to monitor wireless landscape in real time and see whether there are any problems creeping in on the horizon. There are also dedicated frequency scanners that can be purchased in order to accomplish the same thing, such as RF Explorer Pro. Okay, so let's recap. We have a wireless transmitter and receiver which must be set to the same frequency in order to communicate. That frequency must be available, which we determine by using a scanning function, if it's available to us on the device. This is the most basic knowledge that is required for you to operate a wireless system. The best way to get comfortable with this stuff is to practice using it. If you don't have any wireless systems, but you want to get your hands on some, there are rental houses and websites that you can rent gear from. In Atlanta, there is Gotham Sound and Atlanta True Audio, which are both fantastic professional location sound stores and rental houses. I learned a lot from just talking to people over there and hanging around professional sound mixers that explained a lot of stuff to me. So I highly recommend you visit some of these places around the country. If you live in a remote area and don't have access to a rental house there, then you can go to websites such as Lens Rentals and Borrow Lenses, which will rent the gear to you at an affordable price, and you can get your hands on it that way. We've just scratched the surface of wireless audio, so if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, that's totally normal. This stuff takes time to master, and it took me a long time. But I eventually got the hang of it, and I'm pretty sure you will too. Thanks for sticking around with me through all this talk of frequencies and transmitters. And if you find this useful or even mildly entertaining, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment if you have any questions. It really helps out with the algorithm. See you in the next video where hopefully I'll tell fewer bad jokes about wireless audio. See y'all next time.